What's up, guys? Howdy, tribe. It is good to be here with you. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, welcome back. Shout out to all of our members in the tribe. We appreciate you. We couldn't do without all of y'all's wonderful support. If you're new here, that subscribe button, please press it. It helps us out a lot. And also like the video after we're done so that you can be updated on any future uploads that we have. So we got a lot of different topics to talk about. The news cycle never ever stops. And just when you think that you've heard it all, something happens that just takes the cake. So what we saw just recently was Ralph Northam. He was actually already under fire. The Democratic governor of Virginia, he was already under fire because he made some pretty controversial comments about the pro-abortion bills that we've been seeing that have been passed. And he made a statement that was kind of like, well, after the baby's born, if the parents don't want it, I'm paraphrasing obviously, the parents don't want it, the doctors will have a discussion with the parents or what have you. So he was already under fire for that. But then today, his old yearbook actually surfaced. And in this yearbook, there's a very startling image of two men. And one is a man in blackface, one is a man in a hood, neither of which is okay. And this is from, I think 1984 is when the yearbook was actually released. But with that being said, one of these men in the picture is the Democratic governor of Virginia. And what's interesting is that he admits that he's in this picture, but he won't say who he is. And honestly, it doesn't really matter. Let's be honest. When you're in a situation like that, all you can do is do damage control. And a lot of conservatives have called for him to resign or what have you, but honestly, my thoughts on it are is that, honestly, it's not really that surprising. When you think about it, the Democrats have a long and sordid history of very tense or tenuous race relations. And with that being said, this only further underscores that as a reality. So who knows what's going to come out of this? I think that obviously an apology is in order, but this also underscores the very important concept of making sure that you atone for anything you've done in the past and realize, especially for people who are in the younger generation like myself, that the microscope, if it is on you, it's best just to come clean and be honest and say, this happened in the past, this is not okay with me, but instead now we see people doing damage control because they thought this would never come to light. But when you see the Democrats, the Democratic governor come out and make these statements, actually what's interesting is that he, let's be frank, Democrats have set the rules and I think we need to hold them to that standard. I absolutely agree. But the Democrats, they want to portray themselves as the party that champions diversity and inclusion and what have you. But what's interesting is when we have situations like this happen, it further underscores the message that they have not always been the champions of diversity, and all it really takes is a deep dive into history. It's not that difficult. I'm fortunate, my family's fortunate, my parents raised me when I was homeschooled. They raised me to learn my own history. I'm talking all the way back to Africa even. And when you see some of the things that happen throughout history, it helps you get a clearer picture of how these different parties have stood by people of color or stood against them in the past. And people are going to say, oh, well, there's the Southern strategy where the Democrat Party became the Republican Party and their ideals switched, so therefore now I'm going to support them. And as easy as that explanation could possibly be, that is tantamount to saying, yeah, my ex-girlfriend was crazy and psycho and tried to kill me, but now she says she's changed, so I'm going to take her at her word and take her back. Does that make sense to anyone? I don't think so. But Ralph Northam is the latest to have this happen to him, so we'll see where this story goes as it develops, but it literally is just now breaking. Now, also, what we have coming up this weekend is the Super Bowl, Super Bowl 53, with the Rams and the Patriots facing off to earn the title of world champion of football, because let's be honest, no one does football like Americans. But the Super Bowl itself, actually, it used to be just about football. Let's be honest, that's what the Super Bowl is about. It's what it's supposed to be about. It's about football, right? What's interesting, though, is that over time, a lot of companies have felt the need to go out of their way to use the Super Bowl as some sort of pandering Olympics, if you will. I don't understand where that came from, why they take such a vested interest in trying to push some social justice narrative or what have you, but we recently saw, actually about 2 years ago, there was a commercial, because it was just on the heels of President Trump being elected to the office. And a company by the name of 84 Lumber released a striking ad featuring, an immigrant and her young daughter going through all types of hardships or what have you to get to America and hope that they would just have a free pass into the country. But the commercial actually cut away where they were both facing off at a giant wall. And basically the notion was, all right, well, this new president has been elected. He's made lots of campaign promises about a wall, about enforcing border security. And, we basically stand against that. So obviously they were subject to lots of backlash for that ad. But what I think is interesting too about the Super Bowl commercials in general is that over time, I feel like the marketers from these companies really have lost their focus about what you're trying to do. The Super Bowl is actually one of the greatest times in America where people just come together because we love sports. We love our college sports, but we really love our professional sports as well. And when we see it tainted by messages that we honestly do try to get away from as much as we can if we're not invested deeply into politics, it's really aggravating. But this is my dad, he felt there. Super Bowl is only about football when the Dallas Cowboys are playing. My dad's a huge Cowboys fan. That notwithstanding, another thing that came to light was Maroon 5 actually is going to be performing at this event, and they've actually come under some heavy criticism, and they've had certain people come out and say, you should take a knee during your performance so that you could show solidarity with Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick just won't go away, y'all. And, I get what he did, why he did it. I mean, we already talked about in one of our earlier videos, Just Don't Do It, a lot more information about Colin Kaepernick and his feelings about police officers and his perception of rampant police brutality, which obviously has been debunked. But now Maroon 5 is being encouraged to take a knee during their performance to show solidarity with him because he hasn't played since 2016. When did it ever become about him? It's not really about Colin Kaepernick. It's about this push, like we saw with the commercials earlier, to show solidarity and show how woke or progressive you are by taking some stand or making some grandiose display out of what's supposed to be just your benign performance, your chance to perform in front of the nation, and hopefully not alienate half the people who are watching the game and make them turn the TV off. But 2019, anything goes. So we will see what happens with the Super Bowl commercials, but I want y'all to actually take a close eye and keep a close watch on the commercials that are playing this year. There's actually a beer commercial for those of you who drink beer. There's, I think it's Modelo, and they have a commercial, they've got the music playing in the background. They've got, oh, this person was an immigrant, and he helped with beer over, whatever. I'm just like, you know what? There's so many inventions and things that Americans use every day. Like, for example, the traffic signal, right? The traffic signal was actually invented by Garrett Morgan. He was actually a man of color, an African-American man. But you don't see traffic signals, with signs above, hey, this was made by an African-American. You should show solidarity with that. We want you to know this person contributed to this invention because, honestly, it really doesn't matter that much. But Modelo, they say, oh, made by immigrants or brewed with a fighting spirit or what have you. Honestly, to me personally, it doesn't really matter who makes something. What matters is if it works, if it's good, if there's a market for it. That's what marketing is. I'm a marketing major myself. My older brother, Trey, is as well. So I don't understand this auto-cannibalistic marketing that we kind of talked about actually in a recent video referencing Gillette. I don't understand where this push has really come from, but I really do hope it goes away because the Super Bowl is literally just about football. It's supposed to be the one time where everybody can just get together, eat some snacks, go to a friend's house, watch a good game, hopefully a good game, and then go their separate ways. But now we see politics invading even this honestly sacred pastime for America of the Super Bowl. So we will see what happens with that. Now, also, on the heels of the Super Bowl coming up, on Tuesday, President Trump will deliver his second State of the Union address. And it actually should have happened a couple days ago, and I think we all know why he wasn't able to give a State of the Union address. Obviously, we had lots of things going on with the government shutdown, and then Nancy Pelosi made some story up out of thin air about how the security wasn't ready or it wasn't going to be safe or what have you. I just wish that she would stop for a minute and realize what she's doing, because the State of the Union address is the one time when hopefully Americans can come together and understand, okay, what's working well in the country? How have we gotten better compared to last year? But it's being used as a sort of political football. And I get it. There are some who will say that the government shutdown was used as such as well. What my thoughts are on the State of the Union address, though, is that should transcend any party differences. And when you see Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats, they actively try to not have the State of the Union address go on. I don't understand why that is, because there would be an outcry if there was ever any decision to halt whatever Barack Obama had to say when he was president, when he was in the Oval Office. But Frank, you're right, this is going to be a big occasion. I think the optics are going to be incredible for this, because we're going to have President Trump front and center giving his speech to the American people. We're going to have Nancy Pelosi sitting right behind them. And, we've all seen the photos from the last State of the Union address where President Trump is touting the low unemployment rates for African Americans, for Hispanics, and what have you. And the National Black Caucus couldn't be bothered to stand up and clap, or even clap for that. So there's going to be more partisan politics in play. But it will be interesting to see exactly how this address goes off, because as we know, the Democrats, they regained majority in the House, and they now have a little bit more of a voice. So we'll see how they play that, but I think they need to be very careful, because Democrats largely, as we've seen with these candidates who've announced they're running for president in 2020, their main purpose and their main goal is just to go against whatever President Trump is doing. Now, let's be honest here. There's going to have to be some policy in play with that. Your campaign slogan can't be, we hate Trump, anything he says, we're not going to do it. President Trump, he breathed, so he contributed to global warming. There has to be some substance to that, because eventually people are going to get tired. This is going to be a race to the bottom, though, as we approach 2020, to see exactly who is going to crawl over who to show that they are the most adamantly against President Trump's policies. But the State of the Union address is going to be incredible. I can't wait to watch it. Honestly, I think any American should watch it. That should be required viewing. But, we don't have everyone who's interested in politics as I am, but it is going to be important to see how President Trump underscores his achievements, what he chooses to focus on, and then how it's received by the general public. Because, honestly, if we fast forward to Wednesday morning, if you turn on CNN, you're going to hear President Trump lied about X, Y, and Z here and there and everywhere. Well, they can't even keep their own facts straight, because, the news has been busted over and over again for pushing false narratives. We saw this happen recently with BuzzFeed, I believe. And the news is going to go out of their way to say, President Trump is awful, terrible. Here, let us tell you what the facts are really quick. They need to take a step back and realize that their job is to report the news. You are a journalist. Your job is to report the news without any preconceived biases that you may have. So who knows how they're going to spin this, but I think I'd be willing to put money on the fact that it's not going to be positive, no matter what President Trump says. So keep your eyes on that, but I want to know, what are your thoughts on Governor Ralph Northam and his latest skeleton drag out of the closet? How do you think about all that situation? Honestly, it's really not surprising to me personally. I want to hear your thoughts as well. Are you going to watch Super Bowl? Because let's be honest, you don't have to. It's not something that you absolutely have to do as an American. Are you going to watch it? Do you even care? What do you think about the commercials? Are you tired of the virtue signaling and pandering that we've seen by these major corporations who go out of their way to basically throw shade at President Trump? And what do you think about the State of the Union address coming up? Are you excited about it? Are you nervous? What do you think we're going to be talking about? It's going to be interesting to see what it all happens, but I appreciate y'all taking this time to join me, one half of the Wright brothers, for this first Wright Brothers YouTube Live. We're going to work through this together. As you've seen this channel, it's taken a while, but we've actually gotten to a point where we're actually happy with the product that we're giving to you. Shout out to those of you who actually have chosen to be a patron for us through Patreon. We appreciate y'all's support. I'll go ahead and throw some links in the bottom for those of you who haven't found it yet. So the supporters through Patreon, we appreciate y'all. Y'all's support financially has really helped us to upgrade our protection value and bring you something that's really worth watching. Shout out to everybody who's also liked our Facebook page, Wright Brothers IPID. Now, a little inside information, Eddie is the one who's actually in charge of most of what goes on over there. So my hat's off to him for keeping y'all engaged over there. We hope y'all enjoy that. I'll add the link to that in the description box below as well. But like I said before, share your thoughts, and I appreciate you joining me, and we will go live again soon. All right, y'all take care. Bye.